advance this slide for me, Jeff? The first one is this. God's sovereign will does not mean that everything is predetermined. Doesn't mean that. You see, there's this persistent notion that floats around Christian circles that basically says we're all puppets. We're just living out what God has sovereignly determined our lives are going to be like. Free will is an illusion. We're just doing whatever God said. You know, it's interesting. Last night, after I kind of finished up this message, I came home and it's like, man, I just needed to unwind and debrief a little bit. And I flipped on the TV and SportsCenter wasn't on yet. So I bumped up a few channels and they were showing an episode of House. Anybody ever seen House? Yeah. I kind of like it. So I started watching it. And it was an episode where the main person that House was trying to diagnose was a nun who had this mysterious thing going on. And what was hilarious to me is almost the very first scene I saw, House was talking to another nun in the hallway. And the nun basically said this. She said, you know what? I believe everything happens for a reason. If I fall down and break my leg, it's because God wanted me to fall down and break my leg. And I thought, that's it right there. It's exactly what I want to talk about Sunday morning. This belief that somehow, if it happened, it must have been the will of God. Because that's really another way of saying, well, we're all puppets just living out whatever God already determined. And I hear things like this all the time. Somebody goes out and they get drunk and they get behind the wheel of a car and they get in a horrible accident and they're maimed for life. And somebody says, oh, that just must have been the will of God. Really? Somebody abuses their body with drugs and alcohol and hard living, and they die at a young age. And then at a funeral, somebody says, it was just their time to go. Really? Some family suffers from the abuse of a husband who doesn't know how to control his temper. And I hear people saying, well, God's just working his plan. Really? Everything that happens is just the will of God, right? Can I ask you a question? What kind of God would write a script? This is, I think I'll create Hitler, and I'll have him exterminate about 6 million Jews, and I'll bring unspeakable horror into the world. Millions of others will die in a world war. That sounds entertaining. Let's write that in. What kind of God would decide, I'm going to take 19 Middle Eastern hijackers, put them in a plane, fly them into the World Trade Center, cause incredible damage, devastation to countless people? What kind of God would write a script like that? I tell you this much, not the God of the Bible. Not God the Father that Jesus taught us about and modeled with his life.